All right, great. Well, then we'll go ahead and get started. We got two players for you guys today. We got Jonathan Ward and we got MarShawn Ferguson as well.
Jonathan, you were made the preseason as like a long snap. And would you kind of take us through how you became a snapper? When did you start snapping? How did you perfect your skills? How did you get to this point?
Yeah, definitely. Started out, offensive lineman my whole life. Maybe position growing up, played a couple of positions too, but kind of that was my mainstay. And being a little bit more of an undersized player, kind of was always pushed more interior, which kind of led me to get to center. And then by the time I got to high school, one of my high school teammates actually was a long snapper, and he was getting a lot of looks, just as far as coming out of high school, recruiting and everything. So I was like, okay, well, even though I'm a little more undersized, might have a little bit more tougher time trying to play offensive line at the next level. So I was like, might as well give it a shot. And then just started really training long snapping after my freshman year of high school, and then really just worked at it after there. Took a lot of hard work, definitely something that's a niche, not always something that everybody wants to do, but that's honestly part of why I enjoy it. And, something that I enjoy the process of it. It's one of those things that you really have to go into the process, learning how to give a good ball, and it takes time. And that's kind of a little bit how I got into it. Definitely getting the preseason all-conference recognition, it was awesome. And, especially giving recognition, not only specialists, but just long snappers in general, because it's always a little bit harder on that end, especially harder to judge maybe, as far as that. But like I said, it's something that takes a lot of work. I'm honored to have my work recognized as well by the conference. And yeah.
MarShawn, you had a good season last year, but you really got up to a good start against Jackson State. Did you do anything, additional drills or anything during the off season to be prepared for this season?
I feel like in the off season, I was really just more locked in, just trying to get bigger, stronger, and faster. And that just really helped me for the season.
Looking ahead to Elizabeth City State, MarShawn, what's the scouting report on them?
Really, we're just trying to really focus on us. We're really this week just trying to go 1-0. Every week the goal is to go 1-0.
All right. If the media has any questions, feel free to open your mic and ask the players questions.
What was the message to the team going into this week? As you said, you want to go 1-0 this week, but in order to turn the page, what was the message?
Yeah. And definitely, I think, like last week, we did a lot of good things, especially offensively, defensively, and on special teams. But also there's a lot of things we could improve, maybe could have made the outcome a little bit different. But, the biggest thing is we just going into this week, it's a new week, got a new squad that we got to take serious. And the biggest thing is just stacking the days and keep going, not treating anything different. It's the biggest game because it's next week's game. So.
In your perspective, how could you guys, what lesson do you guys learn from the importance of not just starting a game well, but finishing?
Honestly, I say we just got to go every play hard. And if we execute, I feel like we'll be fine every game this season.
Last week at Jackson State, you played before a pretty big crowd, 18,000 fans. So playing before the home crowd this weekend. Jonathan, you first.
Yeah. No, definitely. I've been in the home. So excited. Always like it, especially. So, it's also recognized going to the game, but not letting it be too big. At the end of the day, Coach talks about it all the time. It's the same game we're playing for however many years it is. So, like I said, we just got to take it like any other game and go into it that way.
I kind of feel like the first home game is always a good game because it's the home field. We got to protect our home. I just feel like it's just the next one.
MarShawn, I know you kind of you've been through everything before last season, but now kind of with new quarterbacks on the team, what do you feel like the chemistry's been like through the off season and now kind of this first week building chemistry with the quarterback?
I feel like every day we're just building the chemistry. We just gotta keep going. And as long as we keep going, the season will play out good and things will keep being good.
All right, any more questions from the media? All right, cool. Thank you, guys. All right, and at this time, we'll start with the opening statement from Coach Boykin.
Just proud of the guys of fighting the way that they did on Saturday. You played 10 true freshmen. You played probably another 10 or 12 guys that weren't on the team last year, and so just to see those guys compete and fight, that's what you always want to see. You never know, what to expect really in your first game until you play someone else. And so, you evaluate those guys and you make some decisions on, okay, do you move a guy around? Do you like this play? You like that play? But I think at the end of the day, our guys fought hard, but we understand that, moral victories is not what we're looking for. And so, Sunday, we got right back at it. Licked our wounds from about for 12 hours and then getting ready for this game this Saturday.
All right, at this time, we'll open the floor to questions from the media.
Both your quarterbacks talked about it in action against Jackson State, and I want to evaluate their performance.
Yeah, I thought both of them, came in and handled themselves well. They looked comfortable while they were out there. Again, you never know, two new guys in your program that you just don't know. I mean, you have one that had played some and the other one who played sparingly from the other school that he was at. But to see both of them go in and really seem comfortable for the most part, that was good to see. And now that you have this game under their belt, you really now can kind of focus on, their strengths and weaknesses and what we can do going forward to make sure we get the best out of both of these young men.
Is it your plan to play both of them again this weekend?
Probably so. Both of them showed that they have the ability to lead the offense. And so, as we prepare, we'll definitely have them both prepared to play this Saturday. And, probably I can't give you a definite yes, but there's a good chance that they'll both get in and play again this weekend.
Do you at some point hope to narrow it down to one quarterback, or do you plan on using both throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, the plan would be to play one. I always tell them at the end of the day, it's up to them, who has the ability to kind of really take the next step and take control of this offense. So, yeah, I mean, I think as a competitor themselves, you don't want to share the field with someone else. And so, but we'll see how it plays out. Right now we do feel comfortable that we do have two quarterbacks, which is a plus. So, we're glad to have that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I would like to get to the point, and I'm sure they would like to get to the point where it's just one guy.
So you're saying you think it's a plus to have two quarterbacks. What are your thoughts on the old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none?
I don't believe that because, again, in this game, there's a lot that goes in this game, and I'd rather feel comfortable that, if something happened to one, that we still have another quarterback that's able to take this team to where we want to go. So, I don't feel that way, that we don't have none. I think we have two quality young men, and again, both of them are new to the program. Neither one of them were here a year ago. And so, even though they were here, one was here in the spring and one didn't get here to the summer, you still had the opportunity to see both of them grow. So I feel comfortable that we do have two quarterbacks that can take us to where we want to go this season.
do you feel like the chemistry is with the offense with both guys?
I mean, it's good. I mean, both of them are good leaders. Both of them are students of the game. Both of them know how to run this offense. And so, at the end of the day, the bond with the offensive side and with the team, both of them do well just being around the whole team. So there is no we should play one or the other. They like them both, and they feel comfortable that whichever one is in the game, we can still be successful offensively.
Thank you.
Coach, going back to the Jackson State game, so last season, you had one of the best defensive units in the conference, and maybe the final score doesn't reflect the defense's performance this past week. What did you make of how they did against Jackson State?
I thought they played hard. They fought, but at the end of the day, we gave them a short field with a muff punt. We had a fumble by, a strip fumble by a quarterback. And so we gave them a short field. But again, when you look at where we were at with about 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, it's 14-14. And again, you can't give a team like that 3 opportunities. We put the ball on the ground 3 times. We had 3 turnovers, and so they had none. And so when you do that, you just allow a team like that to stay in the game, and you can't do that. So overall, it's game one. Again, you had some new faces. You probably rotated, I don't know, you probably played 20, 25 guys, on the defensive side. So, you don't measure one game on where they're at right now. You hopefully what you see this Saturday is an improvement from week 1 to week 2. And then again, you still trying to find the right 11 on the field for you. So we'll continue to do that. And like I said, you hope to see a big improvement from week 1 to week 2.
And then moving ahead to week 2 as well. What do you make of Elizabeth City State so far? What do you think will be their strengths, weaknesses? How you guys, what will it take to get the win?
If I start with their offense, they have 3 weapons on offense. Their running back is big and strong, 6 foot, 230 pounds, and you better get him tackled, because if not, he's going to run you over. Their quarterback is very athletic. So you got to account for him, in the run game as well. And he throws the ball well enough to keep you honest. And then they have a slot receiver, number 0, who's also a kick returner that, they're going to run jet sweeps and bubbles and quick game with him. So, they got 3 weapons on the offensive side that you better be aware of. And, up front, they got good size up front. Defensively, they're big up front. I think their DNs are athletic. They got a linebacker, number 2, who, can play sideline to sideline. I like both of their safeties. Their safeties right now are their leading tacklers on the team. And so, those 2 segments, they have some guys that you better be prepared for. Special teams wise, they do have some new faces, on special teams, but offensively and defensively, they have enough that makes you better be prepared and don't take this team lightly at all.
I know also the broadcast last week touched on the wristbands that the team's been wearing, DHTT doing hard things together. Who came up with that mantra, and how do you think that kind of was helping build an identity for the team this year?
I think that's something that the coaches, staff, and I and the seniors, talked about after last year's season, when, you look at how many close losses that we had, that you're right there, and what is it going to take this year to get over that hump. And that's, you got to be able to do hard things together. And so that's kind of the model that we went with when we came back from Christmas break and got into winter conditioning and spring ball, that, those teams that want to be successful, those teams that strive to be the best, you got to find to do hard things together, not individually, because this is not an individual sport, it's a team sport. So together you've got to be able to do those things, and that's something that we've been talking about since January.
Are there any questions from media? All right, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.